Yeah, but that doesn't explain why he used the serum. He used the serum because he really wanted to kill the bat. And that's my point. The fact that he knows that he's Bruce, he knew in the the comics too, if I remember.
Now, Doc, not gonna be so easy when I'm not doped up. You're always.
Yeah, but Joker doesn't really care.
He's here!
Joker just wants the bat. He doesn't care about Bruce Wayne. He wants the bat. Like, Batman doesn't care about what, who Joker is either. Not really. So, well, yeah, but that's my point. He used the serum because he felt like he needed it. Joker does that anyway, though, typically. He only went after him the night in that instance because, it was Christmas Eve, and that was the gimmick of that section. Like, Christmas Eve revealing of the Joker as this big guy in the world. Uh, but yeah, Joker doesn't discriminate against night and day typically, in terms of focusing on the bat. I mean, even though the Nolan movies aren't canon, that's a good example of the Joker just causing chaos because he knows it'll get the bat's attention.
Dead? I think so.
Uh,
Taped patient evaluation.
When did he die? Probably when you shot him. That'll do it. You hungry?
well, that's just Origins as one example. Like in Origins, he had just gotten there within like the week, I think is what he said. And he just got on the scene that night, and he was ready to... He didn't know anybody, he just knew what he was going to do, and he did it. That's about all he knew.
It's the bat!
But he mentioned how long he had been in Arkham. When you meet him in the hotel, I think. That or when he was at Blackgate. Either way, he does bring it up at some point, and I don't remember the exact time. I just know I said he's only been working a night, and he's already done more than like everybody in the city. That's kind of the beauty of this stuff, though, is you can like think about it. Think about what these guys would do. Yeah, I think that's what it was. Possibly. That scene with Harley was so good, though, now that you brought that up. Because it's a reference to an actual monologue. But at the same time, that monologue was designed to have himself appeal to Harley while at the time explain how he feels about the bat. That's how it was in the comic. And it just made it that much more fucking brilliant. How is that the ventriloquist? Oh. Oh. Anything in here? Nope. He was, but it's brilliant because he was also phrasing it to where he wasn't actually explaining who he was talking about. Joker's a smart man. So you would assume that he was doing that on purpose. A lot of the phrases were so well put to where it had to have been done on purpose, you know? So that it would have a double meaning depending on who was listening to it. Get that trophy and walk away. But yeah, that section was brilliant because of
Stop, Batman, please!
talking like that. Because I mean, if he hadn't worded it that way,
I'm really not interested in a
whether it was an intentional or not, he would have never
They're in pain.
turned Harley
For help.
Just stay where you are.
as quickly as he
Last thing I
did.
need is you running free.
Poor children. I'll save you.
If at all. Which we knew
Everyone will pay.
she was inclined to the psychotic nature in the comics and in here. If you in the Origins game, if you collected your Enigma stuff early and listened to the blackmail tapes,
Someone help me!
the Joker couldn't have been aware of that though.
Help!
So he was just doing what he's good at.
I'm up here!
Hi.
So you figured it out, huh? Good job.
I would, but and you look at Harley too. Like compare Harley's outfit to her animated outfit or her comic outfit. Yeah. The thing about Poison Ivy though, and why I don't mind it, is Poison Ivy was the central character in the comics and in the animated series. That was what she was. Harley not so much. So it bothers me more that Harley's clothing can get less rather than Ivy's, because even though it's much more drastic than the Ivy in the series, it's hey, I got crits now. Yeah. But I mean, comparatively to other characters, like if you look at her in this picture, this is like her standard look in the comics and stuff. Now you compare that to Harley or Barbara or Dr. Young or anybody, it's vastly different because that was what she was. She seduced people into coming close and then using her plants to control.
Crap! Maybe I can sneak you some shampoo.
Like that's her character. So it doesn't bother me as much, even though they could have.
Please let me out. They'll die without me.
With Ivy, it doesn't surprise me if it was Ivy, because that was what she did in the comics too.
I'll cut your break.
That was her purpose, was the over-sexualized character. So that nobody else really had to be. Even though Catwoman eventually ended up like that without getting like overly skin showing.
I could watch those two all day. What a riot! And speaking of riots, here's a bit of unrest I cooked up just for you.
Well, that makes sense, too. Because they're supposed to have this, like,
He's taken control
relationship
of the
that
overrides. I have the sequence generator, but
is but isn't.
terminal in my office is useless.
Your terminal has been destroyed. Give me the sequencer.
What? Oh, yes, of course. It's useless.
So it makes sense to me if they had some too.
Trapped in here.
But I'd imagine any innuendo they did
There's
would come off more as
always.
like jokes and comic relief rather than actual innuendo. Just because of how Mark Hamill sounds and portrays the Joker.
You stay here. Lock this gate when I leave.
Oh, good idea. Can't have someone of my stature falling back into their hands now, can we?
Yeah. But that's exactly what I mean. It comes off as a joke rather than actual innuendo. Especially if it's Joker retorting. Or no. Especially since it's going towards Joker. And it perfectly displays their relationship. Harley is really into it and Joker not so much. Joker treats it as a thing of convenience. So I can totally see that as their way of like trying to get something that isn't happening. It doesn't matter that much with their dynamic, so to speak. At least to me. I mean, for the most part, people are gonna see Harley and Joker as nothing but fun and humor, not sex in any shape or form. Even if it's the most blunt, like, I want to try your hot dog, or something really dumb and really obvious. Most people aren't going to look at that as like, oh, sex. Just because it's their dynamic and who they are. Especially children. Which is kind of why the writers do get away with that kind of stuff, is because people aren't gonna... Oh no, I'm not saying they don't. I'm just saying it's not the first thing their minds are gonna go to with these two specific characters. They're gonna get a laugh out of it, think about it for about 3 seconds, and then be like, oh. That type of innuendo, where it's like, the purpose was fulfilled, and then the writers kind of get their laugh because they get to put whatever they want in the script. It's kind of like the cartoon artists who like draw dicks in their characters, because people aren't actually going to see that when they look at the character. Without really looking into it. Like the Hey Arnold one I know, where his grandpa actually has a dick in his head. And I never knew that. And I used to watch that show all the time. But then when I finally saw it, now I can't unsee it. So I just get to see this old man with a dick drawn in his head because the artists were like, yeah, why not? Oh god, I thought I had it. Yeah, just you can look it up and find the picture that shows the lines. But basically from his chin to the top of his head where that thing sticks out, if you draw two slightly curved lines that connect, you'll see a dick. And you'll never unsee it. There's stuff like that all the time. Like I've heard there's one or two in The Little Mermaid. I've never looked that one up though. Where am I going? I think I'm... Oh, fuck. But yeah.
Patient pacification system deactivated.
I don't know where they got the idea of Hey Arnold, but I loved it because it was so real for a children's show. And it's so fucked up looking back on it, but at the same time it's so good because it hits on things that a lot of the writers were afraid to do with actual people. Like the apartment building and stuff like that. Things that actually happen in the real world, but and they used metaphor like Chocolate Boy. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that, especially from the 90s onward when the censors got stricter and stricter. The 90s was really big on it. Like, you look at any 90s show, you'll probably find something in every single show that shouldn't have been in it, but it was. Even today, you'll probably find something in all today's shows. Even if it's just an actor that they probably shouldn't have cast.
Look who's finally turned up, the Dark Knight himself. How's it hanging, Babs?
Hi.
Got a little problemo for you. See those two guards over there? I know, Shànks. How you gonna save them?
How am I gonna save them?
Wanna give that thing to me, Babs? Sophie, you gonna leave those two guys hanging around all day?
They're not better because they aren't kid-friendly. Like, they're fucking awful.
Where can I get me one of those? Better hurry, things are heating up.
They're just a different type of unfriendly.
What do you say we ditch the funny costumes and run away together? Ha! You wish.
Can I don't know where the last one is. Fuck. Is it just this one?
You're cutting it.
I need to save the guards before I leave.
Coming back on. 3, 2, 1.
Why don't I see it? I don't understand. Oh my god, I'm dumb.
I could sit here and watch you all night, Beth. A girl could have hours of fun with a toy like that.
Yeah, I thought about it after. What are you doing? Oh, what are you doing? Seriously. Stop it.
Are you ready to die?
Thank you.
Time for me to go, Beth. I'll miss you. Not. Oh, and now you have only.
Yeah, I thought about it after she turned the electricity back on.
She's locked us in with a bomb.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Quick, get out.
Oh,
Move it!
that takes care of that.
Now! Oh, I thought we were.
I'm surprised I got through that without a game
You're
over.
safe now.
So much
Going
time.
after that crazy witch. I saw her head out the doors. We got out of the room.
She won't get away.
Oh yeah.
I'll stop her
Uh,
and then her.
Speaking of old shows,
Listen,
Uh,
I'll go try and get the ventilation system working.
did
If
she?
you find her, don't go easy on her.
Because I know it gives you 30 seconds to get out the door.
You're expecting congratulations? Come on.
Like, no matter what, it always moves it back down to like 30 seconds, because that's the timer to get out the door.
What was that thing he used?
No idea. He saved our lives. That's all I need to know.
She did have some innuendo in that
What's happening to this place?
section. Kind of. Yeah. All things considered. Because it didn't really make sense with this. Yeah, it saved me with the cutscene. Which in old games wouldn't have done that. So nice. Like,
Taped patient evaluation 5. Victor is not responding well to treatment.
old games, if you got
Victor,
the timer ran out
spoke about the people
in a cutscene or something, you just lost.
They are all
Like,
Victor.
They are zombies.
Final Fantasy VIII timers,
Shuffling through the day.
if it runs out as your cutscene starts,
Someone to
or
You mean
in terms of the Ifrit timer,
report states that
during the part where he's telling you, I'll fight for you,
20 young women in the last
before it goes to the naming, you just lose. And it's sad.
posed.
They were all lucky to be chosen to receive my gift.
I doubt they would agree with you.
Really? How about you, Miss Cassidy?
Anyway, I was on a subject and then I got sidetracked. Speaking of like 90s shows, was there any you really liked? There were so many I loved to watch,
Again,
How do you
and I just want to think about them.
favorite red chip.
I was talking about them 2 days ago with someone.
Something to happen. I can make it happen,
Yeah,
Sarah.
it just comes with the newer game. They're able to program in exceptions like that. So it comes off as her saving me, which is pretty cool. Where it's actually just the way the game's supposed to be, which is also cool. Rocksteady. But yeah, 90s shows. I was talking about Rocco's Modern Life the other day. It made me want to watch that again. Disney shows are really good. I watched a lot of Nickelodeon as a kid. Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network. I didn't watch as much Disney, but like I remember Goof Troop. I remember Tiny Toons. But yeah, it was mostly Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network.
Come on, keep up. You getting tired? Let me give you a little help.
Which is funny because the animated Batman was a big thing on Cartoon Network.
Ooh, you're getting
And I never really watched it. I never really watched superhero shows when I was growing up. That wasn't my thing. It's like the closest I got to superheroes was fucking Dragon Ball Z, which is about as far away from superheroes, or about as close to superheroes as you can be without being anywhere near it. I remember an episode where they were drinking, vaguely, but I remember one. Ooh, what's this? Is this Harvey's room? It was Harvey's room. Honestly, the show I remember most, like, the two shows I remember most, like, almost perfect episodes, are not ones I feel good, I'd like to hear more about this episode that should only have never been aired. Because I remember drinking vaguely, but that's about it.
Patient's name is Victor Saz. For the record, the patient has transferred.
The two shows I remember the best
who is
are
on leave after the incident
ones I
last
don't
week.
care to admit, but
Hello,
Ed, Ed and Eddie
Please,
and
take a seat.
Rugrats.
Guards, you can leave us.
Sorry, Doctor. Orders. I can't leave you alone with him.
And I'd still go back to watch them both, which is
Hello,
funny.
Victor. How are you feeling today?
Oh,
Victor?
yeah.
I can't help you if you don't speak.
But it was the 90s.